can't handle the truth.
Thank you, Chairman Zhao Leji, for receiving me, my ministers, and our delegation. This is indeed a very important meeting and the most auspicious start to the new year and to a new era of relations between Canada and China. We're heartened by the leadership of President Xi Jinping and the speed with which our relationship has progressed in recent months. This sets the stage for these important discussions on a wide range of issues where we can be strategic partners, from energy to agriculture, to people-to-people ties, to multilateralism, to issues on security. And we believe that the spirit and the substance of these discussions and these agreements will provide great benefit to each of our peoples, but also provide an example to the world of cooperation amidst a time globally of division and disorder. Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Si je vous dis, je vous avais prévenu, je suis encore assez loin du compte.
Je vais citer Napoléon là-dessus, un pays à la politique de sa géographie, et dans les circonstances, faire des clins d'œil à la Chine, qui, je me permets de le rappeler, est un pays totalitaire dirigé par le Parti communiste chinois, agressif, qui menace d'envahir Taïwan régulièrement, qui n'a jamais hésité à envoyer ses services secrets pour essayer de mobiliser la diaspora chinoise au Canada en fonction de ses avantages. Tout ça, c'est pas un pays ami, la Chine. Ça veut pas dire qu'on doit le traiter comme un ennemi ouvert, mais on doit savoir que nos relations compliquées avec les États-Unis sont des relations de voisins. Avec la Chine, c'est un régime hostile. J'ajoute une chose, le Parti libéral du Canada a toujours eu des rapports un peu trop, à mon avis, un peu trop de complicité avec le Parti communiste chinois, puis ça remonte au père Trudeau.
Flashback.
Si moi, je mets de l'avant des positions extrêmement radicales, et les citoyens ne votent pas pour moi, ils votent pour quelqu'un d'autre, on ne les aura pas, ces solutions-là.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted that I find quite interesting.
Prime Minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this House at all. Mr. Trudeau, please spare us your presence. Thank you.
End of flashback.
Donc, n'oublions juste jamais ça. Puis concrètement, dans les circonstances, sur le rapprochement, sur le flirt commercial avec la Chine, quand l'objectif, c'est quand même de rétablir à moyen et long terme des rapports durables avec notre principal voisin, les États-Unis, je ne suis pas certain que jouer la Chine contre les USA, ça soit payant à court, moyen, long terme. À un moment donné, la géographie va nous rattraper. Hein.
On a demandé à Mélanie Joly, est-ce que la Chine est encore un État perturbateur? C'est ça qui est écrit dans le document sur les relations avec l'Indo-Pacifique, préparé par Mélanie Joly. Voici sa réponse.
Je pense qu'il y a déjà beaucoup de perturbations dans le monde. Puis il y a beaucoup plus de perturbations maintenant qu'à l'époque où j'ai publié la stratégie Indo-Pacifique. Et donc, notre objectif, c'est d'amener de la stabilité. Vous savez quoi? Les conversations ici ont été effectuées de façon plus prévisible et stable que parfois avec d'autres pays, dont notre voisin.
Des discussions plus prévisibles et stables avec les Chinois qu'avec les États-Unis. Tacha, votre réaction?
Elle est extrêmement naïve de dire cela et c'est pas diplomate du tout à un moment où on sait que provoquer les États-Unis nous donne absolument rien. C'est probablement vrai que c'est plus stable en Chine. C'est une dictature, c'est très stable, oui. Et de mettre ça dans un contexte comme cela par Mme Joly, ça ne va pas bien jouer à Washington et ce n'est pas, comme je dis, le moment de faire ça. Ça ne nous donne absolument rien. C'est vrai que Donald Trump a dit que l'ASEAN, c'est négligible. C'est le Canada qui le veut, il s'en fout un peu, mais on peut pas jouer, on peut pas parler de la même façon parce qu'on sait que M. Trump, quand on dit des choses de ce genre-là, il vise ça comme prétexte pour frapper plus fort. Alors, il faut pas lui donner quelque chose qui peut utiliser une arme. Et elle a exactement fait cela pour les Américains qui maintenant vont dire « Ah, vous préférez la Chine? Bon, allez-y, vous allez voir ce que ça va vous donner. »
C'est une bourde pour vous, cette déclaration?
Absolument.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday, when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be. And let's be clear what we're talking about first and foremost, which is what are the trading. What is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be? How important are bilateral deals such as the one we're developing, plurilateral deals, if I can use that term, Trans-Pacific Partnership, potential linkages between Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU? Where is financial regulation, payment system regulation going to fit into that? All of these aspects I mean, use a fancy word, like the architecture, the multilateral system that has been developing these is being eroded, to use a polite term, undercut, use another term. So the question is, what gets built in that place? How much of a patchwork is it? How much is it just on a bilateral basis? Or where do like-minded countries in certain areas? So like-minded countries, just to be clear, doesn't mean you agree on everything. Aspects, for example, on digital trade or agricultural trade, climate finance as another area, to move into areas of geostrategy, geosecurity. You will have different coalitions that are formed. So what this partnership does is in areas, for example, of clean energy, conventional energy, agriculture, as we were just talking about, and financial services, which we've talked less about, but the evolution of the global financial system, the role of the renminbi over time, the evolution of cross-border payments. I know it all sounds very dry, except for your organization, which I think takes an interest in it. These are important elements of how the system is going to work. And look, the expectation is that rather than these being developed necessarily through the IMF, WTO, and other multilateral organizations, it is going to be coalitions that develop them not for the world, but for subsectors of the world. Greenland, the future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for the Kingdom of Denmark. We are NATO partners with Denmark, and so our full partnership stands. our obligations on Article 5, Article 2 of NATO stand, and we stand full square behind those.
Carney is an enemy of the United States. It's obvious. He's partnered, as they've been infiltrated by the Chinese Communist Party and radical Islam. They love beta males. They feast off beta males like Carney. They feast off these people. What he did in Beijing was tantamount to an economic declaration of unrestricted warfare against the United States of America. And this is why President Trump's been hammering him. The Canadians, it's your problem, and you better clean it up. A ticking time bomb north of the border. Warned about this months and months and months ago. One of the biggest problems is the Arctic North. Canada is not prepared, doesn't have the resources to defend it as the great game of the 21st century looks at the Arctic. And the Chinese Communist Party and the Russians, this is why I say Canada could be the next Ukraine. The CCP taking a bite. And remember, NORAD, our security is inextricably linked with at least the territory of Canada. Carney's sending a message, they are no longer an ally. They are no longer an ally. You do not go to Beijing and kowtow like he did. Humiliating. Humiliation for the Canadian people, and the Canadian people ought to understand. People know this and are watching.
On the U.S. push to acquire Greenland, this just in, President Trump posting on Truth Social that he is serious about putting tariffs on countries that do not support the United States acquisition. Now, starting February 1st, he says there will be a 10% tariff on a number of European countries. That will rise to 25% in June and will continue to ratchet up until a deal is reached. So tariffs on those who do not support the U.S. acquisition of Greenland. Tariffs have worked to great effect in a number of these high-stakes situations. Mexico comes to mind during the first term. They put troops on their northern border after Trump threatened tariffs. We will see what these European countries do. We'll keep a close eye and keep you abreast of any development.